position. Is everyone okay? I don't know, I mean, just in general. No, I mean, with any questions about or concerns about what we said so far?
Yeah, question.
Yeah.
So, would it be true to say that karma and emptiness are like two sides of the same coin?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
They can't exist without each other.
Right. Yeah.
So that's
Yeah. And that's the, and it will come up more now with this, like as soon as you think of one, the other one comes, you know? And where that's helpful is when, well, in many situations, but especially in the situation where, someone's yelling at you, and if you're thinking karma and emptiness, you're thinking, well, we're going to get to that. But anyway, we'll say it again. But if someone's yelling at you, and so what's happening is there's appearance, person yelling, and then if your mind can go back and forth, and then you're thinking, but they're empty. That means if they're empty, then that means I'm being forced to see them that way, and why am I being forced to see them that way? If they're empty, I'm seeing them that way, but they're not that way from their own side. I'm being forced to see them. They're coming from me. If then you think that they're coming from you, you're not going to, it's going to be a lot harder for you to yell back at them. And the advantage of that is that when you yell back, you've got that movie camera in your head that's recording that whole event, that records I'm yelling at someone, that plants that kind of seed for you to have to witness that again. But if you can catch what's happening, if you can slow down the whole thing and catch what's happening, you've got a chance to respond differently. And if you respond differently, you can create, you can plant the seed for a karma that will ripen some other time in which you don't have to experience this kind of yelling person like that. So yeah, it's exactly that. It's two sides to the same coin.
That's another question.
Mm-hmm.
Did you say that emptiness is an unchanging thing?
Mm-hmm. Okay. So this is we have another verse to do. So sounds like you were selling bread there or something. Here, this is the next verse, and this is the two sides to the same coin thing. At some point, they no longer alternate, come together. Just seeing that interdependence, and interdependence is being used for dependent origination, for karma, for appearances here. So just so you know, when you're looking at this book, just seeing that interdependence never fails brings realization that destroys how you hold to objects, and then your analysis with view is complete. That's verse 12. And so we're just going to do the same thing again, go through it. And so I changed the words on the board. So I'll read it to you now. Nam shik renjok mepar shik dardu, tendril milor tungwat samyi ne she yulyi tsintang kunjik na, detse tawe chepa dzokpa lak. So let's do it line by line then. Nam shik
Chik renjok meber chik chardu. Tendril milu tongwa samni ne she lung yi tin san kunjina dete tawa chepa zorpa lak.
Okay. Namshik means at some point. At some point. Renjok means unrelated. Mepad means not. And Chik Chardu, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. It's Chik Chardu, Chik Chardu, CH, Chik Chardu. Chik Chardu means at once. So the first line goes, at some point those two ideas will not be unrelated. They will appear to you at once. At some point those two ideas, karma and emptiness, will not be unrelated. They will be related. They will not be unrelated. They will appear to you at once. And that was just what we were talking about. So what does that mean? When you think of appearance, emptiness comes up. When you think of emptiness, appearance comes up. And that was what is your name? Jacqueline. And that was exactly what Jacqueline's question was and what we were talking about. And how, and you know, sometimes we focus on this angry boss thing, but it's also the same thing with chocolate mousse. You see chocolate mousse, a nicely plated chocolate mousse, and this looks wonderful to you. It's wow, this is great to get chocolate mousse. And that's an appearance also. So what's appearing to you is something extremely pleasant, as opposed to the angry boss, extremely unpleasant. So this is very pleasant. That's appearances. Then emptiness comes, these two ideas coming up. Then how did I get this chocolate mousse? And then maybe I gave carrots to somebody or something. I mean, it's, you know, it may be not quite as simplistic as that, but you know, you gave something that gave somebody pleasure at some point. Because that chocolate mousse is empty also. And so you're seeing it. There's the appearances. You're understanding its emptiness. It's from something good I did. If it's looking pleasant to me, if that result is pleasant, it comes from something pleasant I did, and that's its emptiness. And then if then I would know that I would never do anything. I would never do anything bad to hold on to this chocolate mousse. Like maybe what I would want to even, well, you might even want to like cut it in half and share it with somebody, because you know the reason why you had it to begin with is because you gave something similar to that in the past, and so that same idea of karma and emptiness has connects to a positive thing and connects to a pleasant thing and connects to an unpleasant thing too. So it. You're having that chocolate mousse could never come from something bad that you did, because the laws of karma similar. They cause and effect. They must be similar. Yeah. And so you wouldn't do anything. You would never do anything negative to hold on to that in some way, because it's not how you got it. You didn't get it because you held on to it. You got it because you gave it, and so that's this. That's this first line. At some point, these two ideas of karma and emptiness will not be unrelated. They will appear to you at once. Okay.
So that would be the goal, let's say.
Say this again?
That would be the goal, like the ideal thing to live every day seeing karma and emptiness at the same time, all the time. Right?
Yeah.
That would be like the great thing.
Right. Yeah.
That's
And you'll see.
difficult, yeah.
You'll see as we get to the end of this, but that's it. And yeah. So it's sort of it becomes like your what is it? Knee-jerk response. What is that expression?
Knee-jerk reaction.
What is it?
Knee-jerk reaction.
Knee-jerk reaction to, and I mean the real test is in a situation that's a very emotional thing, and normally it's easier to hold on to these two ideas in those situations where you're not so invested, but as soon as you get into like partner things or family things, then all of a sudden it's like you're really like that. I mean, you are absolutely like that. And that's where the real test of it comes in. Our families are all really like that. And it's so. Yeah, so it has to be something you keep cultivating. And what you're saying, you'll see when we get to the end is. Okay, so next line is tendrel, and we had this before. Anybody remember tendrel?
Oh yes, that's true.
Tendrel is dependent origination, Tibetan for dependent origination. Milor is never fails. Tongwa is to see. Samyine is justified. So Tongwa, Samyine together means just by seeing. Okay? Yeah. So this line means just seeing that dependent origination never fails. And let me just go on to the next because we need to tie it together. Neshe is certainty. Yul means object. And Yi, so Yi is grammar. Zintang is the way it holds. And kunjikna is it dissolves.
What's the last one?
It dissolves. So this line is an understanding that dissolves how you hold to objects. How you hold to objects is an understanding that dissolves how you hold to objects.
How you hold two objects?
Yeah, to T-O.
T-O.
Yeah, how you hold to objects. Meaning how you hold on to objects. How you're thinking of objects in your mind, how you're holding them in your mind, how you're thinking of
Like
them.
my family is really like that. Like,
Your what?
like my family is really like that. Like I hold that
It
object.
is.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah,
Like that thing will dissolve. That's what it's saying.
yeah.
Okay.
So we have here, let's see. Okay, so we have here, at some point they no longer alternate, come together. Just seeing that interdependence never fails. Interdependence, dependent origination, karma. Just seeing that karma never fails brings realization that destroys how you hold to objects. Those are the first 3 lines. So there's 2 ideas here. This is one is what is, which is appearances, and one is what is not, which is emptiness. And so this is just saying how karma and emptiness are married. These 2 ideas are married. These are 2 sides of the same coin. Why is something appearing to us? It's because I'm supplying the karma to see it that way. And then once we get how these 2 ideas are unrelated, it changes how we hold to objects, meaning how we cognize objects, how we see objects, how the world is occurring to us. So we have two different ways of holding to objects. One is with and these with ignorance or with wisdom, and those 2 words you'll hear a lot of. With wisdom, when we talk about, so it has special meaning in Buddhism, wisdom. And that is how we hold to objects in the sense of understanding that they're empty, and that I'm forced to see them by my karma. And so when we talk about wisdom in Buddhism, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about emptiness and how we're understanding that things don't have a quality from their own side, and how I'm being forced to see them that way. And so ignorance then is the opposite of that. Ignorance then is when we're thinking everything is out there from its own side. It doesn't have anything to do with me. I'm not supplying anything. And so if that person is appearing to you bad from outside of you, then it feels very natural to fight back. and to not think that it's coming from you and that you have to change something that you're doing. And then I just want to say that it doesn't mean that you stay in a bad situation. It doesn't mean you just say, okay, this is I'm getting completely abused here and it's my karma. It's what you need to say, okay, I need to change something about this maybe, but to respond to it with wisdom and not create any new karma in which you would be forced to have that experience again. So it doesn't mean staying in something that is staying in some situation that's harmful to you. But you're responding to it with wisdom and not ignorance, and you don't want to perpetuate that situation. And you don't need to stay in that situation, but you need to do it with wisdom. You need to do it with an understanding of where is it coming from. So the thing about karma and emptiness is that karma is kind of, that's, on some level, it's easier to understand the concept of karma. But when we get out in the world and we're trying to affect some kind of change, or and so we want to do the right thing and we want to do the good thing. It's it's not enough to just want to be good, because it'll fall apart when the situation gets too intense, and that's why that understanding of karma and emptiness together, it fortifies our ability to understanding emptiness fortifies our ability to create the kind of karma in which we're creating a better world for ourselves and everyone else. And so a test of whether we have ignorance or wisdom is if we find ourselves having these, if we find ourselves getting angry at somebody, then where is that coming from? And that's a test. Normally it's with the very strong emotions where you can check out your wisdom or ignorance level. Because if you're thinking that it's coming from you, it's much harder to get angry at someone, for example, or any mental affliction, anything that disturbs your peace of mind. I mean, it's not just anger; it's anything. It's all day long. It's the little, it's the waking up in the morning and feeling fearful or having anxiety, or any of that stuff. Where is that coming from? Those are most of the times when we're not getting in intense angry situations with someone, but where are all the little fears and where do all the little anxieties come from? And what is my wisdom and ignorance when those are happening to me, and what can I do to understand them differently and then be with them differently and get to the point where I can not have that anymore. So those two things are mutually exclusive, wisdom and ignorance. We can't have both of them in our minds at the same time. To the extent that we have ignorance, we don't have wisdom. To the extent we have wisdom, we don't have ignorance. And so that's what we're trying to cultivate, is the wisdom. And we're trying to cultivate it based on our really understanding, what's the Buddha trying to say here, and what makes sense, and you take it in meditation, bring it as your meditation object and punch holes in it. Keep trying to say, hey, this doesn't work here. This doesn't make any sense here, and then you can see if you can get answers that that satisfy you and make sense to you, and then it has the opportunity to serve you if you can make it foolproof to yourself by especially analyzing it in meditation. I mean, that's where you really get that's where the power comes. That the windows and the doors open in that situation. And so let's see. So then we did these two lines. And so the last line is Deitsei. Deitsei means at that point in time. Deitsei at that point in time. Kawe is correct view. Correct view, and that was explained as the third path, which is the third path. We went over the 5 paths, so the third path is the path of seeing, which is the direct perception of emptiness. But correct view, Kawe is correct view. Chepa is examination. And Dzogpa is complete. Then Dzogpa Lak is totally complete. So this means at that time your examination of emptiness is complete. And this is, Claudia, what you were saying before. At that time, your examination of emptiness is complete. And I'll read the whole thing all together again, but it connects what you were saying to, like, where are we going with this, right? So at some point, they no longer alternate, come together. Just seeing that karma never fails brings realization that destroys how you hold to objects. And then your analysis with view is complete. So when it happens that when appearance comes, it gives rise to emptiness, and when emptiness comes, it gives rise to appearances. When that happens, it says then you have gotten to the third path, the path of seeing. And the path of seeing, so what we're talking about here is the key to nirvana, is what we're talking about. Because the third path, if you remember, the first one is you get renunciation. The second one is you get some intellectual understanding about emptiness. And that's what we're doing here. This is the second path. We're getting some intellectual understanding about emptiness. We're talking about it. We're having that intellectual understanding. The third one is when you have a direct perception of emptiness in meditation. And, remember this course is covering thousands and thousands of pages of scripture. So it's like, starting to open the floodgates, and you've got to collect lots more study on these things. So that third path is the direct perception of emptiness. At that time, you become an Arya. You become a very special being at that time, and then you, based on that, you move on to the fourth path where you're getting used to what you saw, and then the fifth path is Nirvana or Buddha, depending on if you're a Mahayana person or a Hinayana person. Anyway, so this is the key to Nirvana, is that intellectual understanding of emptiness leading to direct perception of emptiness. You must have that direct perception of emptiness to get to Nirvana. And there's different, so Nirvana is at that time you've gotten rid of all of your mental afflictions. Nirvana is described as you've gotten rid of all your mental afflictions. Mental afflictions are described as anything that disturbs your state of mind. So, that's
Almost everything.
that's everything, right? It's kind of nice, and it's everything. It's like it's all of those little things all day long. And so Nirvana is having gotten rid of all of those things in their entirety, due to having had the direct perception of emptiness and the experiences that you have subsequent to that. So then this is this is key to Nirvana, and we've been talking about how deceptive reality and ultimate reality are related, how appearances and emptiness are related. And when you have this direct perception of emptiness, it's described right before that you have a direct perception of appearances, of deceptive reality. You see for the first time exactly how you're actually cognizing this as a pen. Like, for the first time, you have a direct experience of deceptive reality. You see that it's just what you have is just a mental image. You don't have all of the bits of information. You have only a mental image. And with that, you lay on this a pen. And when you have that experience directly of deceptive reality, then they say you move soon after that to an experience of ultimate reality in meditation. So you go from that, seeing how with your mental images you make a pen, to the point where you are having a direct perception of emptiness. And so it's all about understanding what's happening and to us in our day-to-day life, moment to moment, and understanding that is the key to Nirvana, and it's the key to getting out of samsara, out of this circle of suffering. It's the key to that. So how that works is that you know, now we have a reason to be moral. It's not just for no reason or because it's nice to be nice. It's that we want to, we understand how we're making the world. And as we understand how we're making the world, we understand that because we understand the laws of karma and we know that like produces like, and because things are empty, I must be in the world in a certain kind of way that will produce the kind of world that I want to be in. And so the Buddha said that well, what is it? Well, wealth comes from giving, and bliss comes from morality. And so,
Can you repeat? Sorry.
wealth comes from giving, and bliss, being blissful, comes from morality. And so, with karma and emptiness, then that becomes something that is becoming clear how to, that you need to do that and that it makes sense. And so wisdom, seeing things as empty, is described as being a very powerful antidote. As soon as we have this idea, as soon as there is this possibility, then it's a very powerful antidote to all of the things that we are tending to do out of ignorance, out of not understanding how the world works. So I would say try to take this into meditation about karma and emptiness, and punch holes in it, and find out where you have problems with it, and what yeah.
Could you give us an
You've
example?
already punched the holes, right?
Well, I think I might need help, like how to punch holes in it. Like intellectually, I'm cool with it. But then, like you said, in life things will come up and I'll get upset or someone will make me mad or whatever. So how can I practice? How do I meditate on karma and emptiness and relation?
Well, I think one of the things that happens is that in that situation, like you were saying, somebody that you would get angry at, there's a process of, you have that situation, you blow up, and then you go home, and 2 days later you remember karma and emptiness. And then you think about that, and then you play with the idea of, well, is it, does it really work that way? And so then if you keep thinking about it, then the next time you get angry, because it'll happen again, the next time you get angry, then after you get angry, you'll go into the bathroom. That'll be like 10 minutes later, and then you'll think about karma and emptiness. So the time changed. Like the first time it was 2 days, and the next time it's 10 minutes. And what I'm trying to say is that the more you kind of accustom yourself to thinking about the possibility that things might work that way, the more likely you'll be able to hold the line at the time of, at that moment when you could have responded angrily. And then maybe even at that moment you're thinking, you're maybe thinking karma and emptiness, but you can't even remember why you're thinking about that or what it even means. But somehow you're thinking, okay, I'm gonna hold off on being angry for a moment so I can remember that. And then, so I think that will happen. And I think, it's just, in meditation, you just start thinking about it. You just start thinking, well, okay, what does emptiness mean? What does that mean? And along with, so meditating on it, along with studying it, so you'll get more input, studying and then talking to other people who are studying it also, and then throwing out your idea of because I can't say where you'll get to in your meditation on emptiness. You have to do that. You have to do that. You have to, start off with the 15-minute meditation every day. Get some habit going of doing meditation every day, and bring it into your meditation as the thing that you're thinking about, the thing that you're trying to figure out, and analyze it in the meditation.
So it's kind of like, I guess I have a practice where I concentrate on my breath and try to calm my mind, and it's a kind of a beginner's practice. But I guess I don't really know how to meditate on emptiness, because it's like, that's deep. And so should I, like you're saying, kind of just think about times in my life that maybe I got upset, and then I should be thinking about emptiness and kind of like letting it wash over me, and see if perhaps the connection between karma and emptiness kind of arises.
Well,
I don't know what to actually really do when I'm meditating.
I would say if you can like, even if you took something like one of the verses and meditated on that. I didn't write down what the homework meditation was.
You can look it up.
I usually write down. So this might be a good meditation. I don't remember what it is, but
15 minutes per day, breathe to 10, and then do analytical meditation on the marriage of ethics and emptiness. Ethics karma.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah. So I would say take. That's just telling you, but it's working with the things that we were talking about in class, because you'll find holes. You will come up with questions. We haven't. One of the things in Buddhist teaching, it's a very skillful method. My experience is you get taken to a certain point, and then something else comes to explain something further. Like it's very skillful somehow. I'm not quite sure how it is like that, but it seems to be that way. So I would say, even whatever notes you've taken, to go through that in your meditation. And so that's an analytical meditation. And there's different kinds of meditation. I mean, the whole course number 3 is all about different kinds of meditation. Review meditation, analytical meditation, fixation meditation. So, you could start off with your review. Well, what, defining to yourself, well, what is karma? What is emptiness? And what are the laws of karma? How is emptiness defined? And you go through those things, and then once you do that, which is a little rote, then you start like having questions about, well, what about this and what about that? And I would say work it that way, and that seems to be, that's what the meditation is for this particular class. So. And I'm happy to help anyone with their meditation. I'll give you my email, and if you want, you know, yeah, because then you go bit by bit. Yeah, so I think that's everybody else okay?
Yeah. So if I exercise meditation with some strong episode, like I couldn't control, like with somebody or a situation, and I bring that into meditation and apply the concepts to analyze it, it will be able to.
That would be good too, and I think you were saying
Yeah,
something like that too. I mean, you could work with that too, you know. And I like to think of it as playing with the ideas instead of thinking like I bought into the whole thing. I like to sometimes think, okay, I don't really know about this, but I'm going to play with this. If this is really, I'm just going to play with it, and it's okay. So it doesn't mean I have to make any kind of commitment, but I can play around with it. Like, okay, if that's what it really is, if this person is really empty, that, what does that mean? And then how do I relate to them?
It's interesting. Sometimes you are in the middle of the episode and you feel, and at the same time you know like that you're wrong. Like sometimes you see that attitude of that person, let's say, or that word, you did the same before. You know it, but you don't want to admit it at the time. That's exactly the time you don't want to admit, like you are related with that, like you did the same thing before. You know what I mean? No. Like it happens when you are in the middle of that emotion.
Right.
So, like you have the reaction, and at the same time you know that you have to do what that episode before, like let's say like 10 years ago or even yesterday. But even that you hold into it and you're still angry and the ignorance appearing like the same time, and the wisdom.
Right.
Right at the same time.
But it sounds like at that time what's happening then is that the ignorance is still a little bit stronger than the wisdom. So right, is that what you're? Yeah. Yeah.
You still react, and then they are reacting wrong.
Exactly. So it just the time gap gets shorter and shorter, and then and then I guess what you're saying too, even within the event, you can start getting to the point where the wisdom's stronger, and then that changes, and then even if these things, even if emptiness and karma aren't true, then still thinking about the world in that way still makes things a bit more pleasant anyway. It sort of like calms things down a little bit too, even if these ideas are not what they claim to be. So. Okay.
Thank you.
I have the ending prayer, copies of that.
Nam Yeshe Zogzog Shin Sunam Yeshe Legend Hui Damba Kuni Topa Sho. Thank you for teaching me.
I'll put my email address, so if anybody wants to, tell me how their meditation or has a question about it, I'm happy to.
I asked to borrow this,
Can I
and I
again?
saw that it's signed by the dude.
Can I ask you a
But
question?
it was like on the bottom of that thing. Should I put it in the library?
When you know, I just told you, right? When you have something
Unless
that
it's
you know
somebody's
you've been wrong
signature.
before,
It's,
and
yeah,
you sort
it's,
of
I
like
think it's the
recognize it, and
guys,
then you hold it to
Can
the
Rinpoche?
ignorance, right?
No, I
Uh-huh.
think it's
But what happened when
this guy,
when
because
it's
it's
something
been
that
signed by
you don't know
other,
what it's coming
other
from, like
books I found.
some very
Michael?
strong thing,
Really, I think it is. This
Yeah,
is
'cause
very
the-
precious. Don't put it in there.
No?
Sell it.
and
This is more expensive.
then you
So, okay.
in Buddhism, because these are all
There's
lives,
like a bunch
you
that
can
are signed by him,
rely
not
to
these,
the
but
fact
his
that
other books.
it happened in other lives.
Right.
How to really
So-
believe in that, even though you don't know, right? And you said, I just have to like feel my virtue and try to do virtuous things to change that manifestation.
Well, the karma, whatever the actual thing that thing is coming from, what our karma was, is supposed to be, there's different kinds of reality, right? There's reality that we can see directly,
Right.
and then there's kokure, which is hidden reality, things we can't, and then shinto kokure, really deeply hidden reality. And karma is considered to be deeply hidden, right? We can't, only a Buddha, they say, can know exactly what the exact karma is of what you're experiencing. So the only thing that we could do, though, in that situation is that you would have to, for me, I feel like karma can sometimes be this kind of a Rorschach test. You know Rorschach? The ink blot, and you.
Oh,
What
yeah.
is it?
I don't know the psychology
Rorschach?
text.
The psychology test.
Yeah. So
yeah.
you have it's kind of a Rorschach test, right? And something, only you can evaluate exactly what your feeling is about this thing. So so for example, something happens, you can't know
Right.
exactly where it came from, but you know where that thing is hitting you.
Right.
Is it hitting you in your? Is it making you angry? Is it making you anxious? Is it whatever the thing is that's happening in you? Then that's the thing you need to focus on as what you need to change, right? And even if it's something where you say, I never do that.
Right.
I never do that in my life at all. I'm never angry at people, So I don't get why somebody's being angry at me. But then you have to take it to the most subtle possible version of what that anger could be in your life. Like maybe it's when you go down the street and somebody, walks their dog in the middle of the sidewalk and you get a feeling of anger, but you don't say anything. You have to you have to think, I need to work on anger in that subtle way, and even the subtlest possible ways that you could maybe have that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but I just came to my mind, this girl from Colombia, like actually Geshe Michael went to see in the hospital that she got acid in her face.
Oh.
Yeah, it was horrible. It was a boyfriend that she didn't want to be with him, and she went to her house, opened the door, threw acid. It's something very common also in other countries, whatever. So, I mean, to a young, beautiful, normal person, woman, that happened with why, that happened to me. Why I did that such a horrible thing, like that, So if somebody comes with that to that question, right? This karma come from is horrible, or a cancer, or you know what I mean. That is what I think. The practice is very strong, very deep, very difficult. It just came to
And
me.
so then it's for each person. I mean, there are karmic correlations. I mean, they'll say this thing causes this thing, right? But you have to analyze yourself and figure out exactly where, when something's happening, what button is it pressing in you, and then that's the thing that you probably did to somebody else, even in the most subtle way. And then that's where it becomes very beautiful, because then you have to keep really watching, being aware of yourself. And then, so that in conjunction with meditation, that helps with that kind of, being aware. Then, once you can become aware, then you have a chance of changing something. Most of the times we're not even aware of what we're doing. We're not aware of what we're, thinking, and,
It's funny because Stephen actually taught me a lot about this, because one day I came in and I was like, I'm really jealous because this girl is talking to my boyfriend or whatever. And he was like, well, how would you know what jealousy was if you've never made anyone jealous? Just like, well, yeah, you have a point. You have a point.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
If anyone wants to, talk about their meditation or like that, I'm happy to do that.
And she's a magnificent expert at it. She just finished 3 years in meditation retreat. I think there's very few people on the planet that have done that, and that can talk from really coming up against whatever barriers a mind does for 3 years. Yeah.
I have a question. Were you allowed to write letters to your loved ones?
You could do it how you wanted to do it. I wrote to my husband, because I thought, 3 years.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, wait, what about your husband? Was he okay?
How many times?
He was the only one, and I was able to say more than he was very good. He didn't tell me very much, which was sometimes difficult.
Is he a practitioner?
What is it?
Is he a practitioner?
No, well, not ostensibly.
Right. Wow.
So next week we have a review class, and I don't know if you came when Michael was teaching. He taught the first part of and so we're going to break up the review class, and he's going to do review from the first few classes, and then I'll do the second part, and he also did a 3-year retreat.
Yeah.
So
just 6 years of meditation in the room. 2,000 days of meditation experience. Can I ask a question? Because it's been a year since you've come out of meditation. Can you tell me what stayed stronger with you from then to now?
I think the power of meditation is I would say. I mean, that I don't know if that answers your question directly, but how much I feel that you know, in meditation you figure out things that you can never figure out outside meditation. I would say that would be the. I mean, that's why I feel so strong about people just like do the meditation, you know, on you know, whatever the thing is that you're trying to figure out, you know. There's so much power in that. And maybe it's just because that, you know, that focus that normally we're so, you know, all over the place all the time. As soon as you shut something down, you get more laser-like on it, and then things become clearer in that sense.
It's beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll buy this.
And